Berger along with Billy Packer. Well, the Big East and the Southeastern Conference get together on this Sunday afternoon. You know, both these fine teams have got one eye down the road on the upcoming NCAA tournament. This is a big test. But Kentucky will be without its star, Rex Chapman. I asked Rex what happened the other night when he injured his back against LSU.
I didn't know if I wanted to try and go in straight and maybe try to dunk it or just to lay it in. And I was a little too far out to try to dunk it, so I just thought I'd lay it up there. And when I did, I kind of got my butt and legs caught on his shoulders and then flipped back and I was hoping my legs would get down there, but they never did, and I just landed right on my back. Yeah, I knocked my breath out of me, and I think that scared me pretty much. I couldn't get my breath.
Let me update that for you. It's not as serious as was first reported. In fact, Rex warmed up today, not expected to play. What will they do without?
Well, Brent, it's very difficult to change anything offensively or defensively when you lose a star of this magnitude. It puts an awful lot of pressure on Eddie Davender, particularly if this game goes down the wire, to both handle the ball and take the big shot.
Now, what about Jim Boeheim and his crew, including center Ronnie Cycling?
Well, one of the things Jimmy Boeheim was probably looking forward to trying some of his junk defenses against a club featuring a Rex Chapman. He won't have to do that now, but Ronnie Cycling has always played great games against teams with big reputations who had big people. I don't know if he'll have another monster game today. We'll have to wait and see.
Billy, Coach Eddie Sutton of Kentucky was asked, how do you feel about being an underdog at home? He said, I'd rather have Rex Chapman and be a favorite. Coming up, Kentucky and Syracuse.
CBS Sports presents college basketball. Today's game between the Syracuse Orangemen and the Kentucky Wildcats is sponsored by Bud Light. Everything else is just alike. And by Haviland Supreme Motor Oil, the motor oil that's cool under fire.
Build and shape our future, we invite you to learn the technology of tomorrow while you serve your country in the Navy of today.
Who would you say makes the best personal computers for business? The brand being added by the most major corporations? The one rated highest in performance by computer experts? The one that won the most industry awards? Or the one that's grown the fastest? Hardcore, right? Not really. In each case, the answer is Compaq. It simply works better.
Of all the cars that come out each year, only one can be the Motor Trend Car of the Year. For 1988, that one is this one, the hot new Pontiac Grand Prix. Get on the Pontiac and ride, Pontiac ride! The new Grand Prix, Motor Trend's Car of the Year. You've got to drive it. Get on the Pontiac! We feel excitement!
Marvelous setting here in Lexington at the Rupp Arena. Syracuse comes in here with a starting lineup that averages in the double figures for Coach Jim Boeheim. Up front, he's extremely talented. Coleman at 6'9", averages better than 14 points. Thompson plays taller than 6'4". Cycley goes at 6'11", and he averages almost 16 a game. Then in the backcourt, and Douglas is their leading scorer at better than 16 a game. And Rowe, he's the three-point shooter. On the other side, Eddie Sutton, who now has won 400 games at Creighton, Arkansas here. Bennett and Ellis steps into that starting lineup today with Chapman out. Locke is his center. And in the backcourt, well, the team leader is Eddie Davender. He averages 16 a game. He's 6'2". And Manuel, the freshman, moves to that other guard spot. But they tell me, Billy, that Manuel is more comfortable at guard than he is at forward.
You know, he's a very versatile player for a freshman. Really can play 3 spots on the floor. So it really didn't hurt Eddie Sutton that much in that respect. But, of course, you can't make up for a Chapman in one day.
Syracuse fans are gasping. They don't recognize these uniforms. For the first time since the mid-70s, they break out the blue. Now, Coach Boeheim ordered them for last year. They didn't arrive in time, and so today they're wearing them for the first time since 1975. Should they lose, you'll see them again in another 10 years.
Well, straight man-to-man coming up by Kentucky. Syracuse very seldom sees man-to-man.
Coleman getting in on Ellis, and Ellis came over. And a foul is called on Winston Bennett.
Early in the year, Brennan, almost got to be that Syracuse hated to go out on the floor in games, expecting to see the packed-in zone. But you can see the respect that Matt Rowe has created for the opponents, and now people are playing them straight up man-to-man.
But let me correct that. It was Ellis moving in from the side who made the contact and was assessed for personal. Syracuse has attempted 132 more free throws than Kentucky. They have made 18 less. So they've been the Achilles heel of this team for the last several years. They start off hitting 50% at the line. This is Davender out of Brooklyn, running the Wildcat attack. Bennett 25, rebounding from knee surgery. He missed all of last year. Ellis, the freshman from California. Manuel sends it back to Davender, and Bennett, who has been practicing that jump shot of his relentlessly this season, looking for a little daylight. It'll be Davender. A 2-point field goal for Eddie Davender puts the Wildcats ahead. Syracuse looking for its first win for the Wildcats.
And here's why you don't play them man-to-man often. Ronnie Cycli with Rob Locke all by himself down inside. If Locke's going to allow him to post up that close to the basket, he's in trouble.
A quote from Cycli before the game began. If they show me man, it's lights out.
That's a strong statement, but you certainly can't let him handle it that low.
Bennett. Thompson jumped out and fouled him. His first. Let's take a look at the Southeastern Conference standings, and Eddie Sutton with an eye on that chase, and some big games coming up against Georgia amongst them. That's why he kept Chapman out. Now, as far as the Big East is concerned, be with us next Sunday. We'll be at the Carrier Dome. There'll be a huge throng there. Pittsburgh and Syracuse expected to decide the regular season championship before the conference heads for Madison Square Garden in its annual tournament. In uniform, he practiced a little bit yesterday. Rex Chapman, he broke a small bone, small of his back. That sounds more serious than it is, however, and he will have to play through some pain when the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament gets underway. But the doctors say there is no danger that he will suffer any more injury.
Full court zone pressure. Nice job by Kentucky.
Bennett missing. Coleman's strength, rebounding, outlet to Douglas. It's 3-on-2. Back into the hands of the point man, and here's Cycli's second field goal. Good ball movement there underneath by the Orangemen.
Fred, this press could be effective because of the size that Kentucky has. It's very difficult to throw over the top of that front line of the press. But you can see what Douglas can do in the open court area. One of the best in the whole country.
Opening moments of Kentucky and Syracuse. Ellis. Locke crashes to the glass. Over to Syracuse. Coleman had the inside position, rebounding.
Syracuse showed a little junk defense that time down the court with a little Boston one on Eddie Davender. I guess if Jimmy's going to practice it, he wants to use it.
Cycli with 3 baskets, basically layups, so they'll have to adjust their defense now soon.
Problems there because Ronnie Cycli just gets easy inside position. Let's check this defense out again. And now they're playing a triangle in 2.
Manuel. And Locke with an offensive rebound and a putback field goal.
Stevie Thompson all alone.
And Bennett quickly gets a hand on the ball and deflects it out of bounds. Saved a layup with that move.
Bennett's good hustle, realizing he's got to get back. That's going to be an interesting matchup because Bennett should have an advantage over Thompson if he can power him inside, even though Stevie Thompson has great leaping ability.
Manuel taking Rowe off a fake, comes inside the freshman, and Locke yanks away a defensive rebound. Now it's Davender on the move, looking for daylight. Goes in.
Oh, yeah,
Great play by Eddie Davender.
Now, we thought that Eddie Sutton would try to pace this game a little bit. And that was just a super push-up court by Eddie Davender. He lost the ball on his hip, but you're looking at a guy that scored right in between Rowe and Cycli. Cycli, an excellent shot blocker, just can't get to it.
The personal foul is assessed Rowe, his first. The officials for this game from the Big East, Jody Sylvester, the referee.
But one of the things, though, that could happen to Kentucky is to get into this up and down the court type action, which is really not for their benefit with Chapman out of this game. Here comes the 1-2-1-1 press. Lock back for safety.
Thompson into the hands of Douglas, and here's Cycli drawing the foul.
Step.
Sutton complaining that he traveled over on the Kentucky bench.
Ronnie Cycli needed to get a little wider base that time down inside. His feet were not quite adjusted, and even though the people went over his back, he wasn't able to score. He's loving it. Look at the smile on his face. He loves to see this man-to-man.
Taking the inbounds from Coleman. Now Coleman getting in behind, and Ellis deflected the ball away and into the hands of Davender. Loses the dribble. Thompson's got it for the Orangemen. This is Douglas.
This pace is Syracuse's pace.
Offensive foul is called as Douglas dealt it over to Coleman a little bit late, and that's his first.
One of those fifth-year seniors, Winston Bennett, instead of trying to make the spectacular block on Douglas, had good foot position to draw the charge. Here Syracuse goes to the 2-3 zone, so they've showed a lot of different looks so far early in this ball game.
Here's Ellis, his second shot. Kentucky up by 3.
Well, last year Kentucky lived with a three-point shot. This year they're not shooting anywhere near as many. Much better inside attack.
Hustling, Leron Ellis knocking the ball out of bounds. The freshman showing some marvelous desire here in the early moments. And some substitutions with Duncan checking in and Brower. There's Derek Brower, 6'9". And Rowe sits alongside Thompson on the Syracuse bench.
Nobody guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds. I thought Kentucky might overplay a little bit and try to go for the steal.
He traveled.
Great defense by Eddie Davender. Douglas is extremely quick. Davender didn't go for that ball fake.
Timeout is being called here by TV, and we'll be right back.
If you like to drive, really like to drive, this is what your next car should be. This is the all-new Pontiac Grand Prix.
Get on the Pontiac and ride, Pontiac ride.
This is the 1988 Motor Trend Car of the Year. And that ought to be you driving.
Get on the Pontiac, we feel excitement.
When the heat's on, motor oil viscosity can break down. To help keep your engine cool, trust Haviland Supreme. The motor oil that's cool under fire. Haviland's viscosity booster helps protect engines against wear under extreme heat and stress. Haviland Supreme. Cool under fire.
Great. But we wanted a Bud Light.
Bud Light!
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Now go get pizza.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
When you're as talented as Derek Coleman, even though you're a sophomore, there are always rumors about the possibility of turning pro. Derek and I talked about it yesterday.
It's a major goal for me just to get a degree And I really, you know, promised my mother I would stay in school and would not go or leave early. So that's really my priority right now.
So for the time being, put those rumors to rest. And there's a young man by the name of Billy Owens coming to Syracuse next year. Derek certainly wants to spend at least one season teamed up with him. Billy Owens' reputation ranks him up with the very best who've come out of high school basketball in the last few years. And, of course, there's something else to prove. Last year they were a runner-up to Indiana. This year they'd like to go all the way. First things first, they trail Kentucky by 3 here in the Rupp Arena. Bennett with a nice drive off the dribble. Ellis with an offensive rebound. Foul is called, and it goes against Locke. His first.
Trent, that last drive by Bennett. Now, if you're going to scout Syracuse and you're going to see them in a man-to-man, whoever Coleman is guarding, and this is one deficiency he really has in his game, he really can handle a man defensively that's playing out the fifth on the wing spot. And as you saw, Bennett went right by him.
Cavender hounding Douglas all over him. In deep to Derek Coleman. Missing. Ellis keeps it in play. Cavender comes out on the move. And now he elects to bring it back up and set up the half-court game.
Locke and Ellis doing a good job keeping that ball alive on the board.
Here's Bennett. Jump shot he practices over and over again. Well, Bennett is a better jump shooter now, Billy, than he was prior to that knee injury, they tell me.
Yeah, I think that year off helped him a little bit, but he was slow coming back this year and really is just now starting to show the signs of being the player that we thought he would be.
Duncan giving it to Cycli, and that has been the Syracuse offense. Cycli on the inside for 4 field goals. It's Kentucky 12, Syracuse 9. Just under 15 minutes to go in the first half. Along with Billy Packer and James Brown, I'm Brent Musburger.
Here comes Coleman again. He's over here with Bennett. See if they'll swing the ball, give Bennett a shot at it again. Here he is.
Bennett off a fake coming up on Coleman. Brower into Douglas's hands, and the quarterback quickly brings it down. 4-on-2, manpower advantage. Duncan was hounded from the side by Bennett, but Coleman with an offensive rebound and the field goal.
Again, I'm really surprised that Kentucky has pushed this ball up the floor so quickly and hadn't spent a little bit more time trying to slow the pace down.
Ellis coming out off the screen. Cycli with Locke. Here's Ellis. Rattled out.
Oh, great
Coleman again.
He can do this. Put the ball on the floor.
Brower, another block by Ellis, but into Douglas's hands.
Did a great jump stop by Douglas when he went in among the trees there. Had good balance in order to get the pass back outside. Brower's going to have a hard time getting his junk off inside with Ellis and Locke in there.
Cycli moving to the glass again.
Eddie Sutton's got to be thinking zone. He just can't handle a big guy.
He's perfect inside, Billy. Yep. 5 for 5 against them. Syracuse leading 13-12. It's been the Ronnie Cycli show here so far in the first half. As far as Syracuse is concerned, Ellis fouled by Brower as he turned the corner.
Brower, of course, is caught also in a tough situation in the fact that Ellis can put the ball on the floor extremely quick, can play the wing position, so the matchups defensively for Syracuse are tough with Coleman and Brower having a hard time with Bennett and Ellis.
Bennett leaving as Cedric Jenkins, 55, the 6'9 senior from Dawson, Georgia, checking in. Sutton with a few words for Bennett as he sits down.
Richard Madison's going to be coming in for Ellis, so Locke is going to be the only guy in that front line still hanging around. Now, they may try to put Jenkins on Cycli. Jenkins, an excellent defender, has had some big games defensively. Give Locke a little break.
Well, Leron Ellis' daddy, Leroy Ellis, played, I think, about 14 years in the NBA. There he is in the uniform of the Portland Trail Blazers. Got to take his son back out the backyard, work a little bit on those free throws.
He's an outstanding player for Joe Lapchick at St. John's. Played at one of their great clubs with Kevin Loughnane, Willie Hall, Ivan Kovac, Tony Jackson.
Richard Madison for his first action, with Brower now leaving for Syracuse. Thompson returning. So on the floor for Syracuse now as they come up, it's Coleman and Douglas, Duncan, Cycli, and Thompson. Against Madison, Locke, Manuel, Jenkins, and Davender is rubbed off. Here's Cycli again. And Madison rebounding off the miss. Cycli's first miss of the afternoon.
You notice Locke is not getting any help either, double teaming on Cycli. He's got him all by himself.
Now Manuel from the baseline.
Very talented freshman.
Thompson getting in low with that left-handed shot. Cycli has it knocked away and out of bounds by Davender. Syracuse ball.
Good hands by Eddie Davender because Cycli was really poised to go up and hit another easy shot.
Now Rowe coming in.
This is really a game of matchups. It's like an NBA game. Who's going to have a team on the floor that matches up better with their opponent?
Out of bounds by Manuel.
And with the exception of the Cycli matchup, Kentucky matches up beautifully with what's on the floor right now for Syracuse.
Douglas on the pull-up over Davender that time.
You noticed a little clear out there, Brent, which gave Davender no help whatsoever, figuring there was a screen on that side, and he was a little hesitant to play up tight on Douglas.
Jenkins. Coleman lead pass. Here's Douglas. The transition game for Syracuse.
Derek Coleman again got beat by Jenkins, but he's such a great rebounder with a 2-on-1.
Davender back for the Wildcats, and Cycli off with the miss. Left side, they wanted Rowe, and Madison hustled back. So we've got a timeout with 11:29 to go in the first half. We've had 6 lead changes. Right now, Syracuse up by 3.
Hey, sounded good. Save a few bucks, get the same quality. Then the gripes start from data processing. I got garbage all over the orders. Pittsburgh now takes all night to download delivery schedules.
AT&T gives you the fastest, most error-free data transmission.
I'm paying 32 truckers to drink coffee. This is a good deal?
AT&T's worldwide intelligent network. Because we know it's not just long distance. It's your business on the line. AT&T, the right choice.
Do you know who the best player in the game is? Me, Mars Blackman. And I'm way above the rim, demonstrating some serious hang time. Very serious. Do you know how I get up for my game? Do you know, do you know, do you know? That's right. Air Jordan, Air Jordan, Air Jordan. Mike, what's up? Oh, money, why you want to do that to me? Why you leave me hanging? Come on, I got it. Oh, Mike, man. That's cold, man.
Notice my hair? Mm-hmm. Neat, natural looking, totally under control. That's Consort hairspray. No wonder I attract crowds. Some people will do anything to look this good. Consort, the hairspray that puts the American male in control.
With the designed-in sound of a Delco Electronics music system, now the best seat in the house is in your GM car. Delco Electronics, it's who we are.
It is played on a course known as one of America's greatest tests of golf. The Los Angeles Open presented by Nissan, continuing next on CBS Sports.
3 key players right here. You're going to see Jenkins put the ball on and drive into the hole. Manuel, who's playing one guard position, and Davender, who's playing the other. Instead of coming into the basket, they're going to have to swing back defensively, as you're going to see right here. When they do not, there's no floor balance whatsoever for Kentucky. And watch how easy it is for Syracuse to merely go long. Rebound comes out, nobody back for floor balance. There are the 2 guards from Kentucky, 15 feet behind the easy layup for Sherman Douglas.
Only 3 players have scored for Syracuse so far, whereas all 5 of the Kentucky starters have broken into the scoring column. And Cycli has been the big man. That's his second miss. Foul inside on Derek Coleman.
Brent, one of the things that when you play against Syracuse and you scout them, you really worry about the lob pass. You can see Locke is playing right behind Cycli because Eddie Sutton doesn't want to give up the lob. But he's going to have to start siding him or fronting him a little bit because Cycli's just getting the ball in such easy working position. Full court pressure by Syracuse. Back to a straight man-to-man. Smart move by Coleman to lay off Jenkins.
Ship it inside to Madison. He got Cycli in the air and then came back for two. Douglas has scored the Orangemen's last 2 field goals. There's a way by Locke, and here he comes off the dribble.
Brent, Rob Locke did exactly what he has not been doing, and that is he got up on the side of Ronnie Cycli and did a great job defensively.
The lead change off that field goal. And Coleman misses. Now it's Madison into Davender's hands in a foot race. He drew the foul. He'll shoot a pair of free throws.
Rob Locke has been playing behind Ronnie Cycli. That's the first time today he stepped up in front of him. Of course, he ended up with a perfect play for a center, a guy that not only knocks the ball away, but picks it up and makes the uncontested layup. But excellent defense on his part.
That's the second foul called on Sherman Douglas. He can't believe that it was assessed to him, and it was a non-shooting foul. So it came earlier in that sequence.
Sherman's still upset with the official there.
Yeah,
He's got to get back into the game.
I think he's got a reason to be, though.
Got to get back in the game. They're playing the 2-3 zone.
Locke puts it down, and Cycli rejects it. Thompson off a nice pass from Douglas.
There's Douglas showing his versatility as a passer. Instead of just throwing that lob, he just gutted that ball over. He's still looking at the official, Brent.
Manuel off the pass, short. Locke going up, but there was a push inside. The second foul on Locke. That's the 5th team foul on Kentucky. Already 6 against Syracuse, so they're in the penalty.
Brent, Locke had a lot taken out of him in terms of energy when he made that play all the way down the court, and he's very tired right now. Eddie Sutton's going to have to give him probably a couple of minute rest.
Here's Rowe taking his first 3. Jenkins rebounded.
Locke was open. Madison didn't let him touch it.
Davender. Battle out. Coleman. That's 5 rebounds for Derrick. Lob. Off Cycli. Out of bounds.
Now there's some good coaching by Eddie Sutton. He just constantly worked on that lob pass, and so far today, Syracuse has not been able to get one as one of their major weapons. You can see Sherman Douglas looking to throw that lob to Ronnie Cycli. A great job by Jenkins getting right back there with him. Really no opening at all.
Ellis has returned now for the Wildcats. He's out there with Manuel and Jenkins, Davender and Madison.
Jenkins ought to put that ball on the floor. He got by Coleman one time. He ought to try it again.
Jenkins is left alone. Gets the roll.
I think that's really the weak link right now. Jenkins to take some advantage of Coleman.
Douglas has it knocked away by Davender and then comes back with a great defensive play of his own. And as he came inside, the foul was called.
Brent, Sherman Douglas made about 3 great plays right there. One, the steal. The second was the decision he made to take. Now watch it. First he makes the great steal. Now watch the decision he makes. It looked like there was a pass there, but he realized it wasn't. Then he just went on through, and although the foul was committed, he would have had the 3rd great play with a good dish inside. Quite a player.
And Ellis is in foul trouble here early. That's 3 on the freshman with 8:10 to go in the first half. And that puts Sutton's bench now under the spotlight.
You want anything?
How about a light?
Oh, Bob. Could you make that a Bud Light?
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Did you see?
No. Did you?
No. Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
To create new worlds, you need to see in new ways. Be curious. Look at the problem from another direction. Commit yourself to the long term. Keep your mind open. Look for breakthrough ideas. From aerospace to healthcare, we're creating new worlds by seeing in new ways. BASF, the spirit of innovation.
Or a 4x4 that'll shift the balance of power in the truck world. Toyota's all-new V6 4x4, the most advanced V6 engine in any compact truck. Unsurpassed horsepower, more low-down torque than any compact V6 4x4. New V6, now who's looking out for number one?
Toyota.
American Lori McNeil, the world's #1 player Steffi Graf, and many others compete in the U.S. Women's Hardcourt Championships next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Well, you mentioned the name Owens, and everyone up in Syracuse will smile broadly. There's Michael Owens, the talented running back for Coach Dick McPherson. Those of us who were there in that Penn State explosion will never forget this run. What a talented tailback the young man is. Then he's got a brother, Billy Owens. Watch him in action out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania High School. Best news Syracuse has ever received. He's eligible academically, and he'll be playing for Coach Boeheim next year.
You know, Brent, I saw an interview with him, and he said, when this was before he passed that test, and the fella asked him, what is he going to do if he doesn't pass the test? He said, I will play next year. You know, that Prop 48 is getting a lot of kids really interested in the academic side of their life as well as sports. A few years ago, a kid wasn't worried about it. I think it's probably a very good move by the NCAA.
Well, that's a big plus if they're thinking more about academics. Thompson across now to Duncan, who takes the three.
Pass. Duncan, a man who had to sit out his own last year, and Jim Boeheim feels that the Prop 48 kids that have to sit are certainly restricted to the point where it really sets back their careers for a full season when they do come back, because they're really not ready to go.
Manuel moving it over to Jenkins, who is back in there. Locke has returned. Ellis out with the 3 fouls, and Locke on the turnaround at 6 points for the Kentucky center. Deadlocked at 22 now at the 7-minute mark here in the first half. Fowler off the dribble creates, but no basket. Offensive foul is called.
Now, Brower not that quick on his feet, but I thought he drew a foul there.
So here at the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer. We are tied at 22, 7-minute mark.
Locke's been in double figures 5 of his last 7 games. He's really starting to get active inside for Kentucky. It'll be a big boost for them on their run, not only for the SEC, but for the NCAA championship.
Here's Bennett. Quickly draws the double team and sends it back to Davender. Now he takes it back.
Notice he's got Stevie Thompson down where he'd like to have him, in that low post, trying to overpower him in there. Here he goes again.
Kentucky patient this trip.
Good.
And on the pass in, the foul is called on Thompson, his second.
A pass from one graduate student to another. Both Jenkins and Winston Bennett getting their MBAs here at the University of Kentucky. Jenkins actually graduated in 3.5 years. Of course, Winston in his 5th year.
There's a summation of what we have seen here so far. Cycli starting red hot, hit his first 5 field goals, and he has not scored since then.
Good time now. Bennett hits these free throws to press with Douglas sitting down. Duncan will have to be the main ball handler along with Coleman. We will not find out.
Go back into Cycli, muscling his way in for the field goal.
Now, what Locke has got to see, now that he's played against Cycli for 10, 12 minutes, he's got to understand what Cycli wants to do and try to draw the charge instead of trying to block the shot. Clear out.
Davender pulls it up at the baseline. Cycli rebounding.
Nice job by Duncan to come back and get the ball when he realized no fast break was there.
Cycli wanted it again. This time it was not a very good pass, and Locke was able to get a hand on it.
Jimmy Boeheim probably wondering what Brower thinks about. He is not the man that's supposed to be feeding the post.
Goes over to Syracuse. Timeout is being called here by Eddie Sutton and the Kentucky staff. Jim Boeheim will bring the Orange over too. 5:19 left in the first half.
Introducing the all-new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. Four-wheel disc brakes, a multi-port fuel-injected V6 engine, four-wheel independent suspension, and aerodynamic styling even the wind can't resist. In short, the new Cutlass Supreme is not your father's Oldsmobile.
What's he doing now?
He's staring at a cigar with a funny look on his face.
Bet it's a Dutch Masters or El Producto.
How come?
Most of theirs don't use natural leaf wrappers anymore, but Garcia Vega still does. Garcia Vega gives you the rich tobacco taste of natural leaf wrappers. Hey, maybe the dog would like to fetch this guy an honest cigar.
And now there's Garcia Vega Whiffs, another honest cigar.
He's doing it again.
Round of lights here?
Ask for Bud Light. The light beer with the first name and taste.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
Because everything else is just a light.
Always a pleasure to have JB join us, Billy. James Brown, what's coming up at halftime?
All right, Brent, thank you very much. Coming up on the college basketball report at halftime, we'll bring you up to date on basketball action from around the country. We'll also check in with Pat Summerall, who will have a report on the final round of the L.A. Open. Billy Packer will have a report of profile on Temple University coach John Chaney. And we'll also introduce you to what has to be a very unique college basketball family. That and more coming up on the college basketball report. Brent?
All right, James. Billy, Coach Chaney does a marvelous job with the Temple Owls.
You know what's neat, Brendan? I know you've talked to a lot of people. It's nice to talk to some guys in sports that have such deep meaning with what they have to say. And I find John Chaney a man that you really want to listen to. He has a lot of quality things to say about life.
And I'm really happy about the performance of his team. They appear headed for a top seed in the East. Turnover by Syracuse now. Here at Syracuse 24, Kentucky 22. We're inside of 5 minutes in the first half.
Cycli that time was looking to make a play before he caught the ball. You see that in so many sports.
Jenkins out there with Bennett. Davender now with the ball. Manuel and Locke on the floor for Eddie Sutton's Kentucky Wildcats.
Syracuse doing a pretty good job in a man-to-man. Brennan cuts through. Coleman's not there, but they don't get him the ball.
Coach criticized the Wildcats' lack of patience earlier this week. Against LSU, they played a flawless game, and here today, they're trying to do their best as Cycli draws his first foul of the game.
Locke is keeping Cycli occupied, which is a great thing when you've got a big man that's scoring well on one end of the court. Make him work on defense. Throw him off track. No rest in there at all for Ron Cycli. That last series of plays, Kentucky was trying to rub Winston Bennett off lock inside, and they had it a couple of times. They just didn't deliver the ball in time.
The leader, Douglas, is back for Coach Boeheim. Rowe and Cycli will sit down as Thompson checks in too. We have watched Ronnie Cycli, Billy, improve through the years, and Rob Locke here at the free throw line. The senior from Reedley, California, he is certainly a much better basketball player than he was a couple years ago.
He's improved his foul shooting percentage almost 30 percentage points in 1 year. A lot of concentration and hard work there. He always had the technique.
Duncan and Douglas. Thompson, Brower is on the floor with Coleman. As Locke reaches over, he fouls Brower. And that's his third, and that was a foolish foul.
Yes, it was. He's got Cycli out of the ball game. He knows Brower is so far away from the basket that he's not going to be effective from out there. He had no business reaching over on that foul.
Madison in for Kentucky, and Locke will sit. That's two players with 3 personal fouls here in the first half now for Coach Sutton, Ellis and Locke.
When Eddie reviews this tape, he'll say, why did I have him out there in the first place? You figure he was worn down a little bit. He had 2 fouls. Syracuse is playing with their small team with Cycli out of there right now, so he could match up very well with a guy like Jenkins on Brower. And Madison playing Brower, maybe moving Jenkins on over to play Coleman. So one of those substitution moves that just didn't make in time. There's history. Brower hitting 2. That makes up for the pass he threw away.
Syracuse leading Kentucky by 3.
So a big overplay.
And Thompson jumped back into that passing line. And Manuel touched it, so it'll go over to Syracuse.
Now that's why you need 3 referees to handle a basketball game. 2 referees never would have been in position to call that play. Excellent call. Nice piece of work. Davender's a fine defender. He's given Douglas as much trouble as anybody I've seen this year.
Foul on Bennett, who jumped in front of Thompson. Winston doesn't agree with that call, but he picks up his second. We get word there was a little rain delay out there at the Riviera in Los Angeles. That's certainly unusual, but they're back playing, and we'll have an update at halftime on that. Chip Beck in the lead after 3 rounds at 14 under par.
Old Wake Forest comes through again. Jay Haas on a tear so far. He and Lanny both had a 3 wins.
I didn't mean to interrupt your...
well, I'm just trying to give a plug for
your
alumni.
alumni
That's
dues
right.
there.
That's right. You know, last year, Wake Forest alumnus won 25% of the purse on the PGA Tour. How's that? Is that strong? Yeah. If it's not right, I'm going to say that anyway, but I believe that's true.
Didn't include much Arnold Palmer either.
Well, he did all right on the seniors.
Ah, of course.
Well, I'll tell you, Brower and Stevie Thompson hitting from the foul line is something Jim Boeheim hasn't seen all year. Syracuse starting to get on that 5-point lead, making natives a little restless here. Syracuse is overplaying every pass, so Kentucky can get some backdoor movement.
Davender.
New York City move there. Now Douglas tries to give it back to him. Oh, what a screen.
Great screen. Couldn't hit it. And a foul inside. Madison.
Now, what's really nice, we'll see the screen coming right up here on Eddie Down. Then he takes the leg. And as this foul was called, Coleman went over to see if he was okay. Nice piece of sportsmanship. says in the Big East, everybody is good sports until they go up against the Hoyas. That's coming out of his mouth.
Brower runs it down.
Syracuse, even without Cycling, getting a lot of opportunities.
Coleman. He's a big-time player, isn't he?
Yep, and he's left-handed. You think Jenkins would be over on that side.
There are 3 left-handers on the floor for Syracuse right now. Thompson, Brower, and Coleman, the entire front line.
Syracuse just overplaying every pass.
Holding a 5-point lead right now, and Gavender cuts it to 3. That's 9 points for the Wildcats point guard off his foot out of bounds.
Sherman Douglas can really see the floor. He had Stevie Thompson cutting a good 40 feet away and was going to fire that bounce pass through.
Cycling replacing Brower for the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Now it is Jenkins going to be on Cycling. He's going to have his hands full down low.
Duncan wanted Cycling, but he traveled before he passed the ball. Matt Rowe in. And Hansen, for the first time, will play for the Wildcats.
You notice Rowe has not scored today with this tight man-to-man defense. He's only been able to get off 1 shot. Syracuse goes back to the 2-3 zone.
So Reggie Hansen, still another freshman out of Somerset, Kentucky. Number 35, handling the ball right now, and sees his first action.
Early in the year, you'd have thought that Derek Miller would be the guy to come into these situations, but he just hadn't been able to hit from the outside.
Gavender running down the missed 3, and Boeheim lecturing Rowe that he should have picked up that long rebound.
Very low-scoring game considering how frantic the pace has been. Really fits into Kentucky's way of thinking a little better than Syracuse's game in the 60s or 70s.
Bennett, the 3. Winston Bennett.
Syracuse ought to go for 1. They're going to spread it out, a little 4-corner type action.
It's Cycling in low, and Jenkins staying with him, but he fouled him.
Ronnie Cycling was kind of caught not realizing what to do. He had the position he wanted, but he realized that Jim Boeheim wanted to hold it for the last shot. He had no passing lane, so he just got frustrated. You can see him just turn and roll inside. Good pump fake. Jenkins gets just a little piece of the arm.
Half-minute left in the first half, and Cycling can break the tie.
This club shooting 60% on the year. You know, we've seen enough major tournament games to know that eventually will cost them.
And they go 0 for 2 that trip, but Coleman with another rebound gets it inside to Thompson.
Get it
back
out
to Derrick. Rebound Kentucky. They can take a halftime lead. It's last shot time, and Gavender now will bring the time down.
There was a case where Derek Coleman should have got that ball back out in the hands of Sherman Douglas, with Syracuse having the last shot at the 2 points.
Bennett couldn't get the handle. Douglas races the clock. He beat it. Sherman Douglas racing the clock with 3.5 seconds to go. Drives in for the layup that puts Syracuse into the lead, 32-30.
Just bad ball handling there. The ball gets down in the corner. Douglas does a great thing when he looked up at the clock, Brent. You saw him as I did. He is a smart player.
So they miss Rex Chapman certainly on that last trip, as Winston Bennett has to go out on top, and he's unsuccessful. We come to the end of the first half. Syracuse 32, Kentucky 30. James Brown returns to the college basketball report after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports presents college basketball. Today's game is sponsored by Volkswagen. Experience German engineering the Volkswagen way.
The new Volkswagen Fox is a lot of car for the money. For instance, a powerful 1.8-liter fuel-injected engine is standard. So are power front disc brakes, rack and pinion steering, and four-wheel independent suspension. Now, we could have done what some did. Cut the standard features and offered less car for less money. But we'd never pull a stunt like that. That isn't the Volkswagen way. 1988 Fox, only $62.90.
Once every 4 years, something happens in this country. Once every 4 years, the Olympics come to America. And once every 4 years...
Words of wisdom, and of course I saw Rick Roby walk by here a few minutes ago, was one of the outstanding players in that club.
Hey, Billy, talking about the statistics of the first half, what stands out, how about the number of turnovers for these two teams?
Really surprises me, and the fact that I think it's been more defense than anything else, but some fellas trying to make plays that aren't there. Derek Brower, for instance, and you very seldom see Sherman Douglas in a half with more turnovers than assists.
Ronnie Cycli enjoyed a big half, especially in the early moments, Billy.
Well, Kentucky started out straight man-to-man. Cycli loved to see it. Locke was playing down behind him. He was caught in the low post position, and Cycli was really able to take advantage of it early on.
You know, we talk about Syracuse's problems at the free throw line. Well, here today, Kentucky didn't shoot so well.
Yeah, they haven't been going to the line with their normal fellas, and you got to remember, with Chapman out of the ball game, their offensive structure has changed a great deal.
And the two-point guard, you can see the matchup between Douglas out of Washington and Davender from Brooklyn, New York. Davender has outscored him, and Douglas with one more assist, and of course that big steal and field goal that put Syracuse ahead. As we prepare to start in the second half, those of you in Syracuse who've just joined us, don't adjust the color. The Orange men are wearing blue here this afternoon, leading it by 2. The Big East against the Southeastern Conference.
You know, a club who ought to really be enjoying this ball game is Seton Hall, but they're starting to come on strong. And you talk about a Big East conference that if Syracuse were to win this game, maybe able to go 6 deep. So a lot riding.
Eddie Sutton, Billy, elects to come back with his starting lineup. The freshman Ellis playing with 3 fouls. Locke back at center. He also has 3. A very patient attack. They bring the shot clock down inside of 10 seconds now. And Bennett coming through a screen, misses. Locke goes after the offensive rebound, and it is hit by Syracuse, Kentucky's ball.
There is a case where Syracuse, when they play this 2-3 zone, Stevie Thompson is awful small on that back line. Locke able to take advantage of it.
Manuel has not contributed much offensively.
Well, he's been playing the wing. Today he's been forced to go to the backcourt, so maybe he just hasn't made that adjustment yet.
He moves the ball to Bennett. Quick pass to Ellis off the fake. Ellis drives for the layup. Now, he was only 1 of 5 in the first half, but he had good scoring opportunities, and here he comes back in the early moments in the second half to tie the score. That's our 5th tie of this game.
Well, Ellis is comfortable playing out there 15 feet from the basket. He probably is going to be a wing player.
Now Douglas goes to his act. Davender sticks with him, and he has to ship it back to Coleman. He draws the foul. Ellis on the inside was the defensive player, and that is the 4th personal on the freshman. A big moment here in the early seconds of the second half.
You know, what set that up was just an incredible pass by Douglas. How he ever found the opening between the Kentucky players to get that ball to Coleman, I'll never know.
Ellis leaves, and Richard Madison, 42, checks in for Sutton. That's 6 points for Coleman, along with his 7 rebounds.
Syracuse now up to 60% from that free throw line. Derek Coleman could be a very good free throw shooter. He's got great rotation on the shot. Just has to learn to stay with it.
Barkley switching off on Bennett. Had him well covered that time.
Fred, you pointed out Manuel hasn't really gotten involved with the offense. You notice how often he catches the ball and doesn't look at the basket. He merely looks for the offensive flow. And to be a threat, you've got to take that look up at the basket.
Regained it easy. Oh, and Madison lost the handle. Cycling comes back.
And Eddie Sutton is livid, and he's going to yank him out right now.
An easy scoring opportunity for Madison, and he simply lost the handle on the gimmick.
What made Eddie Sutton so mad is all he had to do is lay that up on the board.
Cycling rams into, it's a 4-point swing off that miss by Madison.
The case there was Locke tried to front Cycling. First time today Syracuse has been able to go ahead and throw that lob over their head. With no help on the weak side behind them.
Locke stepped way out high. Rowe taking Manuel. Missing someone like Rex Chapman here at Natalie in the early minutes. Davender against the double team and Cycling off with the miss.
You know, you felt that mentally Eddie Davender missed him there because he just felt that nobody else wanted to put the shot up.
Exactly. Cycling wants it. Bangs off of him, had lost the ball. Sherman Douglas.
Quick hands. Eddie Sutton may have to go timeout here. It's a pretty good run by Syracuse, and you felt the last time down the floor Kentucky was unsure of themselves offensively. Let's see if Sutton's going to call one. He's going to call official. That's what he's going to do.
First things first.
Yeah, I think they're a little confused offensively right now. Davender can take Rowe.
Oh, ships it to Manuel, and a three-point opportunity for the freshman.
Brent, on that particular play, Sherman Douglas realized Rowe was matched up on Davender. He wanted to go back and pick up Davender. When he did, now watch what happens. Davender is caught right here with Rowe. Douglas realized, and he's ready to make the switch. You can see he's ready to make the switch. He had no business leaving his man, who happened to be Manuel, wide open under the basket. Really Sherman Douglas's fault.
Duncan and Jenkins checked in here. Short on the free throw. Coleman, 8th rebound.
Kentucky continues to suffer from that free throw line, which has been one of the real assets they've had this year.
Cycling goes in deep to Coleman. Coleman keeps it alive. That great reach of his. And the injured guard, Rex Chapman, watching, and don't be surprised if he doesn't play Wednesday night. Non-conference game, Sutton electing to keep him out. Off Locke's hand. Manuel ships it back to Locke.
Nice teamwork. Wasn't pretty, but everybody had the right thing in mind.
Douglas off the fake, throws it up high, and the foul is called.
Winston Bennett didn't get there in time. Douglas loves to throw up that kind of running one-hander when he goes the baseline.
3 on Bennett. Timeout. Here at the 15:24 mark. Syracuse leading by 4, and the natives are a little restless about the officiating.
What you doing?
Hi, garage sale.
Garage sale? My lucky hat.
Moving means making lots of decisions. That's why Ryder helps you with our free Move It Yourself guide.
This came all the way from Hawaii.
Yeah, maybe a Hawaiian will buy it.
It helps you handle everything, from picking the best truck, to packing your china, to planning your expenses.
This would be worth a lot of money, Speedy. What do you think?
Honey, can we talk about this?
Ryder. We're there at every turn.
How to shave a giant. Avoid big trouble. Use the Gillette Good News Plus disposable. It's got the Lubra-Smooth strip, so the comfortable shave for a giant is
This little guy.
Good News Plus from Gillette.
Now, everywhere in the world you can dial direct. You can dial direct with MCI. Everywhere.
Waka?
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be.
Great rewards always come from giving it your best. And that's understood around the world. And at your local True Value hardware store, where you'll find their exclusive lineup of rugged Master Mechanic power tools. Rely on Master Mechanic power tools to help you tackle the toughest do-it-yourself projects and come back for more. And make True Value hardware your store of first choice.
While you were away, referee Jody Sylvester and Coach Eddie Sutton went nose-to-nose on the sideline. Billy, what was Jody upset about?
Well, a referee doesn't mind hearing from a head coach. Now, he's not supposed to be talking to him this year. But what happened is some of the assistant coaches at Kentucky started to get their opinion in, and Jody just wasn't going to put up with that at all, and I don't blame him. So he went over and made that opinion well known on that Kentucky bench.
He's working this game with Mickey Crowley, Gene Manji.
I think they've worked an excellent basketball game. I don't know why the fans are on their case. And what Boeheim was concerned about, he thought they weren't giving Douglas 2 shots.
Now the second one for the Syracuse coach. Made it as a walk-on and became a teammate of the great Dave Ming and was a co-captain of Syracuse as a player his senior year.
He's been involved with that program now for 25 years as a player, assistant coach, and head coach.
Carolina not turning the ball over the way they did against the Temple Owls today, huh?
Not playing the same kind of opponent.
And it gets it into Jenkins' hands. The Wildcats find themselves down by 6 here in the early going.
Syracuse using that zone to change things around. Put Coleman over on the other side of the court. Gives him a little bit of rebounding over there. You can see how Kentucky really misses Chapman offensively. They're not sure who's going to put up the shot.
It is locked this time from the baseline. Coleman off with the rebound into the hands of the team leader. Sherman Douglas on the pull-up. One of the most underrated basketball players in America, Sherman Douglas.
Now, we're not going to see Rex Chapman today, I don't think. But Eddie Sutton in the next minute or so has got to figure out a way to attack this zone with somebody that will take a shot.
Nobody wasn't even looking.
Right, they're not looking at the hoop. Against the zone, you've got to look at that basket to keep the defense honest and then also to put your shot up. Down to 14 seconds.
Jenkins off the fake.
And that 2-3 zone really vulnerable in the center as far as getting the ball down there.
Comes across the timeline. In deep to Cycley off the lob. They burn him for the first time today.
Brent, I don't think that should be, that is a legal play. I think that ball was in the cylinder when he caught it. It's never called. And, of course, nobody does it better than Douglas. But I think that Cycley was touching that ball in the cylinder.
Davender. Foul called underneath against Cycley. His second.
Now watch this alley-oop pass. We might not have the perfect angle for it. Here goes the ball up. There's no doubt in my mind. See, that ball would have gone right into the basket, and he's in contact with the ball when the ball is in the cylinder. No basket.
Bennett. Cycley rebounded. You've got to like this Syracuse team as we approach the NCAA tournament. Short. Now it's Davender in the foot race. 2-on-2, and Douglas quickly comes back on him.
We're seeing a great matchup between these two outstanding guards. Matter of fact, Davender, probably underrated as a defender. He sits right in there with Jerry Grant, in my mind, ability to go out and really play somebody in the backcourt. There's the opening.
Jenkins sends it back, and Manuel misses, and Locke with an offensive putback. It's 11 points for Rob Locke. This is Duncan, 14. A spinner. And Cycli had it knocked away and out of bounds. Syracuse ball. And, of course, at the end of today's game, Billy and I will select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team, and Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school.
Notice Jimmy Boeheim had to take Stevie Thompson out. He cannot play that 2-3 zone against a big team with Thompson on that back line. So Brower comes in, give him a little bit more power inside.
Cycli powers in, short, an offensive putback.
It's good. Boy, he and Coleman have great two-handed rebounding strength.
It's an 8-point Syracuse lead with Cycli moving up to the free throw line.
Mike Scott, the transfer from Wake Forest, coming into the ball game. He's trying to get a body in there big enough to stop these two fellas inside.
Mike Scott's first action today. Now it's a 9-point Syracuse lead.
Rex Chapman standing up on that bench. He's looking around. Obviously, if this was a major conference game, he'd be playing, but probably a smart move to hold him out of there. Good help by Duncan. Red zone's a lot bigger now. You see with Brower in that back line.
It might not be stretching it too far to say that as many as 6 Big East teams could wind up in the field of 64 this year. Seton Hall playing very impressively. Bennett left alone.
That was Ronnie Cycli left home on that one, Brent. They had the double team in the corner. He went over to create a triple team against a man that doesn't play.
In behind the defender, but the pass too high by Coleman and Davender. Foul by Duncan. You get the feeling sometimes that Davender would like to get into an up-tempo game against Douglas.
I think he's certainly capable of doing that, and I think both of these guys taking it as an individual challenge today against each other.
Now we've got a TV timeout, Billy. We've got a 49-42 score. A lot of time. 11-16. We'll be right back.
Ever since your post office invented express mail overnight delivery, others have tried to copy our eagle, but it's not so easy. You see, express mail overnight reliability is close to perfect, with the most convenient locations and prices as low as $10.75.
He's got to stay at home. When he doesn't stay at home, everybody rotates and watch how Manuel gets wide open under the basket. Ball goes to the corner. Double team takes place. Cycli, for some reason, goes over to help out. Nobody back at home. Derek Coleman not there either. Kentucky gets an easy layup.
So from the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, the Wildcats inbound the ball wearing their home white against the traveling new blue uniforms of the Syracuse Orangemen. Syracuse, the Big East, leading the Wildcats 49-42. Manuel with a shot blocked by Coleman. Jenkins gets it back. Running hook misses. Lock battles back into Jenkins' hands, and it is stolen by Douglas. Douglas comes out for the Orangemen, and here's Cycli's pass to Coleman, but he traveled.
Well, there's a case, a fast break that doesn't get well organized. Douglas, instead of taking the ball to the middle and allowing Cycli to come behind him, gets Cycli in the middle. Look at this steal. Sherman Douglas just pulls it right away and takes it on down.
10:45, Billy, a 7-point lead. What do you think Sutton might do here to find a score?
Well, what I think he's got to do is really start punching his ball down in the center of that 3-2 zone and then start working baseline a little bit.
Well, there's the center, and they went to Jenkins, but he traveled.
He really's got some problems because there's not a creative scorer other than Davender out there on the floor. So they really miss Rex Chapman.
Rowe returns for the Orangemen.
And here comes a guy that was the designated shooter earlier in the year, Derek Miller. Now, this kid is under a lot of pressure to hit some of these shots, but he's certainly capable. He has a great outside jump shot. This may be the day that he breaks out of it. This may be the day that he'll have to break out of it.
Eddie's tried everyone except his son.
sitting back in their own zone. Trying to help out inside for Cycling. Matt Rowe happy to finally see a zone where he can get a shot off.
Thompson.
There he is. Let's say Rowe gets a jump shot off here.
There it is. Missing the home run. Bennett rebounding. Let's see if Miller elects to try and break into that scoring column right away.
I think he should try to get into the game a little bit. That's what he's done so much, is come right out and try to put up the jumper. See, the fans are cheering every time he touches it. He's got to get in the flow of the game a little bit.
Davender keeps giving it to him, and Coleman jumping out defensively on that wing. Locke was open briefly underneath. Davender's three, not there, and Coleman goes after it. Quickly to Douglas. Here's Rowe's three. Underneath, there was a foul on Cycling, his third.
You know, Rowe, away from home, has not hit that three with the exception of Pittsburgh game. He's just much more comfortable playing up there in the dome.
And Boeheim will return Duncan to the Syracuse lineup, with Rowe coming back out.
And what Miller ought to realize is that the side of the floor he should try to go on is the side where Stevie Douglas is, not over there with Coleman, because Coleman can come out and put his hand up against his jump shot. So he should come over here to the left-hand side of the court.
Thompson's down here, the 32 over here on the left.
See, here he comes
There
on
he
the
is
swing.
now.
Right.
The three missing, and Coleman with still another rebound. 12 for the game. Douglas's pull-up. Into the hands of Jenkins, off the fake. Here's Davender. Duncan back alertly on defense. The drive is not there. Miller tried to tap it in, and Coleman off with still another rebound. Puts it down on the floor. Crowd wanted a foul call on Derek as he dribbled out. Thompson, and he's fouled by Jenkins. He'll shoot a pair of free throws on that one. That's 4 on Jenkins.
Give Derek Coleman a great deal of credit, not only the physical play that he made, but when he realized by looking down court that Locke was still down there, he realized that Kentucky was short underneath and really got that bounce pass in there nicely. Smart play. Derek Coleman's a lot different person than you'd think he is, but you know, he looks like he'd be a rough, tough kid, and he plays hard-nosed, but he's got a lot of smarts to him. He's a very interesting kid.
It's always very pleasant, isn't it?
Yes, he is. Off the court, he's a very, very pleasant guy. On the court, he's tough.
Cycling, reaching in, commits foul number 4.
A lot of time left in this one.
Boeheim sends Brower in to replace him at the 8:30 mark.
Now we may see what Derek Coleman can do offensively, because with Cycling out of there, some of those inside points are going to have to come from Coleman.
And Ellis returned with those 4 fouls. So Locke with 3. He's out there with Ellis right now. Winston Bennett with the 3. Davender and Manuel bring it to the attack. Brower in the middle of the zone for Syracuse.
I think Kentucky can really get some offensive rebounds against the team Syracuse has out there now.
Bennett missing the jumper, knocked away from Douglas. Coleman comes up with it. Thompson's on his right. And a great steal by Manuel. But Coleman gets it back.
And handed it off to no one. He was going for the... You know what, he was embarrassed? He loves to dribble in practice. And he put that one between his legs and got it stolen. So he was making up for a little something there.
9-point lead then. A little daylight for the Orange men. Bennett's jump shot. Thompson traveled.
And Jimmy Boeheim wanting him to go to the high post half-court offense, not throw the ball the length of the floor.
And we'll continue after this word from your local station.
This is CBS.
Lafitte, Louisiana and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Lafitte means flat bottom boat races.
Forget Villanova and Georgetown playing for the championship.
The underdogs, lights, cameras, Georgetown, Villanova. Perfect shooting, Villanova championship.
It comes inbounds, and that's it. It's 66-64. Villanova upsets the Hoyas of Georgetown, and Villanova wins the NCAA championship.
All they shot that night here in Rupp Arena was 78%. Harold Jensen was perfect, 5 for 5 from the floor. One of the greatest upsets in the history of any sport. Davender's 3. Brower rebounding. It's 51-44. Douglas running the floor for Jim Boeheim, and he is fouled.
One of the things that helps anybody that really can run the fast break well, the David Rivers type, the Sherman Douglases, when they come down the floor with the dribble, they never have to worry about where the ball is. It merely is an extension of their hand, and they see the full court. They know what's behind them, what's on the wings, and that time Sherman Douglas was able to take it all the way on in there. Shoots kind of a flat shot off the palm of his hand. Gets a lot of palm on his shot.
In its hands, Syracuse missed its last 4 free throws, still leading by 7 at the 7-minute mark. Kentucky searching for a score, if you will, someone to create some offense here. Without Rex Chapman, unable to play because of that injured lower back. May return as early as Wednesday night. Bennett will try to pick up the slack. That's 2 jumpers from that spot that he's buried, pulling the Wildcats back to within 5. Crowd trying to help out here in the Rupp Arena. Duncan dribbling off the screen, and it's an offensive foul call against Duncan, giving Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim the opportunity to reinsert Ronnie Cycli, even though he's playing with 4 personal fouls. Boeheim will come back with Cycli right now at the 6:30 mark.
Brent, what I think happened to Syracuse there is with Cycli out, they didn't stay in their offense. Everybody started to go on a 1-and-1 tear. Cycli back in the low post would give them a place to throw that ball.
So it's been Bennett from inside that spot who has provided a couple of field goals. Now he's deep in the corner. Davender off the penetration comes up, and he's fouled, and he gets the bounce. A 3-point opportunity. Kentucky's back in it.
Well, even when you're playing a zone, you've got to guard a man in your area as if it's man-to-man. And that time, Matt Rowe didn't do it. Davender just ate him up.
Boeheim calls timeout. Discussing, of all things, who's going to win the Kentucky Derby. He makes his acting debut. He also, folks, is one of the most eligible bachelors in all of college basketball. I told Jimmy I would throw that in.
You know what he almost was discussing at that table tonight? The technical foul he got in the first half, which he wouldn't be too happy with.
6:15 to go here with Syracuse leading Kentucky 51-48.
Brent, would they have had an ex-assistant coach in that Bluegrass? I mean, Eddie Sutton loses a close game on an assistant coach with a technical.
Davender apparently has the strap broken on his goggles. He had an eye scratched earlier this year. He's moving up to the free throw line without the goggles on right now. The trainer trying to adjust them over at the side, and the official said, you want to call another timeout, and he'll come out and shoot without him. They lead him on. 6:15, and the fans alive in the Rupp Arena. Without Rex Chapman, the Wildcats have closed back in.
They stay in their 2-3 zone, even though they showed a little up-court pressure.
The half-court game is not the Syracuse strength. But it was that time as Rowe buries the home run, his first of the afternoon. And Syracuse, 2 of 3 shooting the 3.
Good confidence by Jimmy Boeheim in Rowe, even though Rowe had missed 3 in a row. Put him right back in the ballgame.
Davender penetrates. Oh, the goggles are destined to stay over there in the hands of the trainer.
You see what Davender has done? He feels he can take Rowe, so he set himself up right in his area.
Cycling deep. His spot.
That's
foul called on Kentucky. That's 4 on Locke.
You notice how well Syracuse adjusts in their half-court offense with Cycling in the game. When he went out for those couple of minutes, they just didn't ever look inside at all.
Now, a freshman like Ellis has got to learn how hard you must come from the weak side. When they get the ball into the big man's hands and give Locke some assistance there underneath, that'll come with some time. But you could see Ellis kind of hesitate on that weak side and watch the play develop.
And here again is that free throw shooting of Syracuse that must drive Jimmy Boeheim crazy.
They've missed their last 5. They'd be national champions if they'd hit a couple of important free throws against Indiana down in New Orleans. Now they miss 6. Ellis off with the rebound.
And they go to the line so much, Brent. I mean, this is a club that has a lot of opportunities in a front end of 1-and-1s, which they never convert on.
Bennett here on the other side with Ellis. Manuel's on the right. Jenkins coming through the lane with Locke out. Davender off the penetration again. Misfiring, but into the hands of Bennett. Bennett will crash for the 3. Wouldn't get the roll, but he'll come to the line, and that's what he wanted, was a 3-point scoring opportunity off that drive. That's 2 on Coleman, and after our NCAA basketball, we'll send you out to the Riviera. Final round of the Los Angeles Open. Delayed by rain, but they are certainly expecting resumption of play there.
Then one of the things that Kentucky is starting to do now, particularly with Davender's penetration, Eddie's getting his glasses back on, and that is they're sending 4 men to the offensive boards, which means that Syracuse ought to be able to get a fast break opportunity here the next time Davender drives and misses a shot. Free throw shooting is starting to pile up now. Kentucky, an excellent free throw shooting club, although they weren't in the first half.
Still having some adjustment problems. Now he seems satisfied. Bennett can make it a 2-point game. 4:52 remaining. Missing, and Manuel gets in behind Cycling and pulls it down.
They're just killing Syracuse off the board. Syracuse, even with Cycling having 5, may have to go man-to-man.
Kentucky will use a timeout. Situation. Foul trouble shows 4 players with 4. And Billy Packer, what do you think Jim Boeheim might have done here with this timeout?
I think it is a good move. He's gone into a box and 1, and I expected him to change defense because Eddie Sutton obviously called that timeout to set up a special play. But here you can see a junk defense by Syracuse, little box and 1, Stevie Thompson on Davender. So a nice counter move by Jimmy Boeheim.
Here's Thompson chasing Davender.
Sutton realizing that he's been changed up, so what he's set to do will not work right now.
Manuel gets it back and cross quickly to Bennett. Here's his spot on the left side. Practice paying off for the senior from Louisville, Winston Bennett, who has tied it at the 4:11 mark.
When they go back to man-to-man, it's time to get Ronnie Cycling the ball in low.
Or Coleman, who ships it back out and then takes the return pass on the inside. Short, gets his own rebound. Ellis falls out, and it looked like a clean block.
Good block. Boy, he was right on top of the ball. Now, Coleman's doing a great job down and low. Ellis right behind him. But I think he got all ball on this one. This is the first shot. Coleman gets it back with those great hands. Boy, that's all ball, Brent.
So freshman Leron Ellis fouls out.
Well, Eddie's putting him back. Yeah, Eddie doesn't realize he has 5. Maybe he doesn't.
I think Ellis knew it, and that's why he went over to the sideline.
Yeah, he's out of there. Eddie didn't realize it. What Eddie's trying to say right now is that the foul was called on 23 and not 24, but it without any question, Eddie just trying to pull one there. Now here we see Coleman grabs the great offensive rebound, pulls it back down. He's going to go up for the shot again. Now here is the block. Boy, that's a great block. But not wearing a striped shirt or having a whistle, it wasn't such a good block because it's a foul.
Block returns. And Coleman with 11 points and 15 rebounds at the line.
Boy, he zipped both of those. That's 4 in a row for Derek.
Now remember, both Locke and Cycling playing with 4 fouls.
And Syracuse stays in the box in 1. Stevie Thompson on Davender.
Bennett on the baseline missing. Rebound Syracuse, but he stepped out of bounds. Thompson came down before he released the ball. Kentucky with a second chance to retie it or even go ahead on a 3-point field goal.
Now Stevie Thompson playing the 2-3 zone here on the out-of-bounds situation, which means that see if he can drop back and to get into his box and 1. So they're going to stay in the 2-3 zone. Syracuse confused right now. Rowe wanting them to play the box and 1.
Davender out on top. Davender slightly rebounded at the 3-minute mark. Douglas takes some seconds off the clock before sending it to Thompson.
You know where they're going with this ball.
Block goes down, tries to draw the offensive foul, does not.
They want Cycli to touch that ball at least one time here.
Douglas off a spin move, sends it, and it's intercepted by Locke, who gives it up into the hands of Manuel. Rowe and Thompson back defensively. Another opportunity to tie it.
Then sometimes you try so hard for one thing in the game that the defense can adjust, and that's what happened.
Bennett has it deflected by Coleman, and Emmanuel's hands scored and put him on the free throw line.
Real concentration here by Manuel. Excellent block by Coleman coming across. Manuel stays right with it even though they come down in his face after the shot. Best cheerleader on that Kentucky bench is none other than Rex Chapman. He's really into the game.
There's the star. Warm-up jacket still on.
You can see how intense he is.
Manuel attempting to put the Wildcats ahead.
Syracuse so intent in getting that ball to Ronnie Cycli. Let's see if they go back to him again. They set up in their 1-4 offense.
Douglas came up with a shot. He wanted to pass the ball, got up in the air, and there was some cutting motion on his left, and so he shot it.
Stevie Thompson messed him up. Cut all the way under the basket. There was no passing lane. Eddie Sutton wanted to use some time.
8-point lead. He moves it down toward that 140 mark. Free throws will certainly be vital here the rest of the way, too. They're inside of 10. Davender off the fake. Douglas with him. And so Bennett is short, but there was a foul.
Over the back, Cycli will be on the line, and he's certainly had his problems there, Brent. Shooting on the year, only 55%.
He is 1 of 5 here this afternoon shooting free throws. He ties it. And Syracuse is 13 of 24 from the line. They have shot 11 more free throws than Kentucky. The Wildcats are 6 of 13. The Orangemen lead. Boeheim directing the defense.
And they're going to go back to their box and 1.
They'll chase Davender. Davender coming underneath. Thompson watching him.
This seems almost like that Georgetown Villanova game that we're right. You know, I'm right next to you here. This game's getting tense. We're going to let Jenkins have that shot.
Manuel will take it. The freshman puts Kentucky up by a point inside of a minute. Boeheim will bring him across the line and call the timeout.
Senior VP MIS, big RFP, no imaging. So I'm showing him 4 windows in the Wang workstation. IBM, VS. He says, I know you can do that. I saw your commercials. 5th window is a whiz file. He says, what's that? I said, that's an image.
Team in trouble as far as timeouts are concerned. In case of a jump ball, Syracuse will have possession, and both teams were in the penalty some time ago. So it's 59-58 Kentucky, and what do you think Boeheim might come up with here offensively?
Without question, he's going to try to pump that ball. He's got plenty of time to pump that ball down to Ronnie Cycli. Tell Coleman to get up on the board. On the weak side, Kentucky goes in there man-to-man. I thought they might throw a little zone at him. Let's see what they're playing. Without a cutter, I can't tell what defense they're in.
Douglas, and getting a hand on the ball was Jenkins as he came down the baseline and tossed up one of those lobs.
Now a new 45, this is the rule I don't agree with. If a good defensive play is made, the pressure should be on Syracuse there, but it penalized Kentucky for having a good defensive play.
So in other words, they can bring it down for the last shot and win it at the buzzer. The Wildcats no longer have an automatic opportunity to get the ball back. There's 25 seconds against Eddie Sutton, and Syracuse can end it all on a last shot here if that's the opportunity they want to go for.
Exactly, Brent. They had a 7-second differential, which means Kentucky, no matter what Syracuse did, would have one last chance. They'll not get that now.
And like you say, it was Jenkins who should be credited with a good defensive move.
Sure.
We're right back for the last 25 of regulation. Now 25 seconds. Derek Coleman will take the ball out of bounds under the Syracuse goal. Douglas can always bust away deep if he wants it. Coleman looks in his direction and then goes cyclone.
Two-three zone by Kentucky.
Douglas on a runner. Can't get it to fall. Manuel yanks it away. Manuel out on the dribble. Manuel breaks free. Quickly to Cycli. 5 seconds, but there is a timeout. Still time for Boeheim to get it to overtime, Billy. He's down 3.
That's right, and he's got a good man in row to go ahead and put up that shot. You can't blame Syracuse for what they eventually got. They like to put that ball up on the board and give that great rebounding twosome of Coleman and Cycli a chance. That's exactly what they had. But Coleman went up a little early. Manuel gets it, and of course you can see everybody standing and looking. Rowe falls down, and that gave Manuel a clear shot to the hoop. Now,
here's Boeheim watching as Douglas penetrates, following the ball, saying, "Get it, Derek." Now on the far side, and then he sees Manuel come out on the dribble, and Rowe is beaten, and he says, uh-oh. Eddie Sutton's reactions are entirely different from Boeheim. He said, "Come on, freshman, get it in there." That's it, ride it. Now, come on, let's play some D.
Well, Brett, we still have 7 seconds to go in this ball game. Plenty of time, and of course, if you're Syracuse, you have got to go for the three-point play. And here's something I believe in. I believe in fouling. Now, I know exactly what you're going to do. You've been saying this for 2 years, Coach Packer. No way you give a team a chance to make the straight. Knock him down when he goes in here and put him on. Well, no, I don't ever even get him in a chance to get the shot off. You go foul, put him on the line, and end up with your own destiny. No way they can beat you.
3-pointers today, in case you're wondering. Syracuse is 2 of 5. And regardless of what happens today, Billy, you and I got a big one up in the Carrier Dome. We always look forward to going to Syracuse next week. They'll play Pittsburgh, and that could decide a regular season race in the Big East. Great fans up there.
Now, Cycli is out of the game. That surprised me a little bit. Duncan in the ball game, Cycli not there to rebound. Jimmy Boeheim figures it's one and done.
Manuel comes in on Douglas right away. Ball out of bounds, and they knock 2 seconds off that clock, however. It's down to 5.
You know who they want to get this shot off is Rowe, and he's being guarded by Jenkins, which would be tough for him to shoot over him.
Douglas breaks loose Kentucky ball. Watt fires it up in the crowd, with 4 seconds to go. The Wildcats start the celebration.
Douglas is down on that sideline. He ran right into Locke trying to chase the ball down. You know, with 7 seconds, I don't know why Syracuse was working so hard.
There is Douglas getting back up on the Syracuse sideline. He crashed into Locke trying to chase it down on the lead pass.
You know, 7 seconds was a lifetime, and they had another timeout to go also. Little body English.
Ronnie Cycli, you see him hold his head when that ball was coming free, and now Locke stepping up to the free throw line. How many times in basketball have we seen a team lose its star and the rest of the club bands together? That was the case here this afternoon for Eddie Sutton, playing without Rex Chapman.
What did they call that? An intentional?
Yes.
Did they?
Yes, they did. It's over. Kentucky beats Syracuse in Lexington. Eddie Sutton and Jim Boeheim shake hands. It's a 4-point Wildcat win. The Southeastern Conference over the Big East here this afternoon. Chevrolet players in the game. For Syracuse, Ronnie Cycli. He led the way offensively. And the lead man for Kentucky, Eddie Davender. The check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each school's general scholarship fund. Our final score, Kentucky 62, Syracuse 58. For Billy Packer and James Brown, I'm Brent Musburger. NCAA basketball has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the NCAA championship. Golf is coming your way next.